Hi guys! This is a card process video, and I haven't done one in a while, just because they take a while, but I'm making one today. So I set up my scene as you saw there, and just to get an idea of what I was making, and now I'm creating the background of the sky, and I love to do this technique. I learned it from what is her name? It's Amy, and it was the designer of Sweet November stamps, and I learned it from her, and I've been doing it a ton since then because I just love the look of it. And it's really easy. Here you can see the whole technique, although I have done a video before this showing how to do it. So you can see all the clouds, and I love the way this looks because it gives it some dimension. And I just showed it all here because I get some questions about it, even though I do have a video on it, but very easy. And the stencil, I just cut it out by hand from a white cardstock, and you can do that with any paper. And then I'm using my finger dauber with the Jenny Bolin Speckled Egg ink. And I just check to see, because I don't want to do the whole paper, because I know I'm going to cover half of it with another paper to make the grass. So I just do it up to where I think it would be, where I would need to do it, so I wouldn't, do a work that I don't need to do. But that was the Jenny Bolin Speckled Egg ink. And now I'm looking to see what paper I want to ink up to do the grass. So I just picked that white cardstock, and it's a scrap that I had. And I didn't care about the little hole on there because it's going to be covered. And I'm inking it up with the Tim Holtz Peeled Paint Distress ink. And I'm just using my ink blender, and I'm inking all over it. And it does have some streaks, but again, that doesn't bother me because it's supposed to be grass. And I'm going to emboss it anyway, so you can't really tell once I'm finished with it. So now I'm just inking around the top just so it'll be a little darker. And I was looking for a baby wipe to clean the table, because if not, that green ink would get all over my card. So I just cleaned that up. Then I was contemplating which embossing folder I was going to use, whether that one or the Swiss Dots, and yeah, I'm very indecisive, so I kept thinking about which one I would use, and I just decided on that one because it was more springy. So here you can see it's already embossed. I didn't want to film that because everyone knows how to emboss already. So that is a scrap piece of paper, as you can see on the back. Sometimes when I don't like the pattern of a paper, I'll just use the back side and use it as white cardstock. So there I glued it down with my ATG gun. And now I'm just cutting off the excess with my EK Success scissors. And there is the sky and the grass all finished. So now I want us to stamp on that, I forget the name of that. I'm just going to call it a trellis, but I don't remember the name of it. And I'm just trying to position how I'm going to use it. I took out my Stamp-O-Majig because I knew I was going to have trouble stamping this, and I wanted to be able to stamp on it easily if there was an issue. You'll see in a little bit that that did not work out. But I gave it a shot. So I stamped it on that Stamp-O-Majig, and now I'm inking it up again, and that is the Jenny Bolin Brown Sugar ink. And see, I'm trying to position it where I want it to be, and I'm having a bit of difficulty with it. I just have some difficulty with these detailed stamps, getting them to stamp properly. But yeah, I'm just putting that stamp positioner, trying to get it straight. And now I'm gonna give it a go and hope that the image comes out right. So here I'm trying to press it down, and I'm trying to get it to come out right, but it didn't. And the middle did not come out at all. So I tried to get it to line up properly without the Stamp-O-Majig, and just press it down, and it was not working. And I've had some questions about my thumbs. Yes, I am double jointed. I know some people have asked me about that. I don't know. I was born that way, I guess. But I keep trying to do that, and it's just not coming out. And I kept pressing it, and it just did not want to come out for me. So I really did not want to start the whole card over again after I had already done the clouds and the grass, and I just was not wanting to do that. So I just cleaned up my stamp and I was going to draw over it, but I looked at it and it's a lot more detailed than I thought. So just using a pen, I was looking for a brown pen, and just drawing it in with the brown pen was not going to work because it just didn't look right. It's too detailed for me to draw in. So I tried to put it over and see what it looked like, and I noticed that it has flowers and things like that, so it was not going to work. It was just not going to look right. So I took out my light box, which I haven't used in a long time, and I put that acetate sheet that comes with the stamp, I put it on the light box, and then I put my paper on top of it so I can trace it out. And it's not going to come up perfectly, but it'll look alright, and after I put some flowers on it, you can't really tell that it was traced. But I'm just tracing out whatever I can, the swirls, and trying to trace out some flowers, and just as much as I can so it won't look like I completely messed it up. And sorry if you can hear some music in the background, my neighbors have their music loud, so hopefully you can't hear that on the video. But again, I'm just tracing, and I love the light box for tracing things. It's awesome for that. I've never actually used it like this, but I decided to give it a try just so it wouldn't look so bad. And I knew if I was going to keep stamping on top of it, I was going to mess it up. So I just did that, and you can see I'm tracing in all that I can. So, and I adhered it down to the light box with just some like washi tape. So there's what it looks like. It's not perfect, but it's not too noticeable that I completely messed it up. So now I am inking up this tree. It's a Paper Smooches stamp. I think it's called Spring Groves. And I'm using my Heidi Swapp black ink, and I'm stamping it on this paper. This is some paper from Graphic 45, and I was going to stamp it, well I did stamp it on this little piece of cardstock, and I was going to cut it out, but I didn't feel like fussy cutting all those branches out, so I don't end up using it, but I did stamp it on there anyways. So there it is. It didn't stamp out correctly. It's just not a good day for me. But I wiped it off and decided I would just use the green one and color in the tree trunk and the branches with some brown ink, and that's what I did. So I just used a Spectrum Noir. I didn't film that, but I colored in the branches and the trunk just with my Spectrum Noir marker, and then here you can see I adhered it with my ATG gun. And then there's the little girl, and that's a Whimsy stamp. She's called Mary, and I'm adding some ATG tape to the bigger spaces. And then I took out my Crackle Accents, and I like to use that for little spots. It glues down really well, and I don't use it as crackling very often. I don't use it that much. So it's a great adhesive for things like this, and for flowers, and just lots of things. So I use it a lot for that. So there, I put it right in front of that little hole so you can't even tell it was there. And I'm pressing down so it'll stay glued on there. And there you can see her, and she covers up that hole nicely. And then now I am gluing down that card mat onto the card base before I get any further into the card, and it gets more difficult to glue down. And my card base is the Recollections 110 pound cardstock. That is an awesome cardstock for card bases. I love it, and it's fairly inexpensive. It's like 250 sheets for like 12 bucks, and then you use your 50%, so it's a great deal, and I love them. It's nice and thick. So now I'm cutting my mulberry roses, and I'm cutting them with the stem so I can use it with the stem. And I cut out 3, but I only end up using 2 of them, and I'm just positioning them where I want to, and it looks a little crowded, so I just put them right next to each other. And I'm going to use my Crackle Accents again. Again, this is great for these sort of stuff. I don't like using hot glue, and this works just as good as hot glue, and I don't have to burn my fingers. So I just press that down, and I'm fixing the flower a bit. They tend to curl on the bottom. So I added some of that. You just got to be careful with this because you can get a huge glob on there, and if that happens, you'll make a huge mess all over your card. So I tried not to do that. And then it looked kind of empty, so I wanted to add some leaves. So I looked through my stash to look for some leaf stickers that I can use on there, because I didn't want to draw it in. So I found these, and they looked a little too big, and I believe they were all the same size, so I wasn't sure what I was going to do. But I just ended up cutting it in half, and then putting one side on one flower, and then the other side on the other flower, so it would look more proportionate. So that's what I did for those. Then I took out these little tiny flowers. I got those in a rack from Sarah, which is Scrap from Scratch. And you can see they're already adhered on there. I didn't want to film that because it took too long, but I just adhered them on that trellis. And you can see, you can barely notice the mistake I made on there. And then I took out these little stickers, and I noticed it said Mom on there. This is a card for my mom. So I put the mom on there, and the happy birthday, I didn't film that either. I just stamped it on some white cardstock and cut it out, so I didn't film that. And I'm just adding a little bit of little dots that were on that card, on that sticker sheet, just to add something to the tree. And now I took out my Prismacolor pencils, and I'm drawing in a sun, and I'm putting it on the bottom. I'm drawing a little bit of rays, so you can tell it's a sun. And then I took out my green, one of my green Prismacolors, and I drew in the grass. I love using the color pencils to draw in the grass because it makes it look more realistic. So I did that on the bottom of the card, and I also drew little lines on the top of the hill, so you can see that too. And I also drew it in behind the trellis. And then I drew some little ones on all over the hill, just so it'll be more uniform. And that's all I did for that. And then I used my crystal stickles, and I drew in like some faux wind with that. And then I took out my other stickles. I think I used the, what is it, the orange stickles? I don't know if it has a specific name, but I used that. And then I used actually I think that's it. Yeah, that was it. So there's the card, and I decided to add in a little bit more grass on there. Yeah, I tend to go overboard, but I don't think I went too overboard with this one. But there is the card, and I thought it needed something else, which I do end up adding at the end. And I was thinking about it, and I was thinking if I should add something. So I added a little dot just so the mom would stick out a little bit more because it is blue on blue paper. So yeah, I did add some tiny bit of candy cane stickles to the tree. Again, because it looks a little empty. You can barely see it, just a tiny bit that I added. So there is the card, the front of the card. I do end up adding 2 more stickers to the bottom, so there'll be more animals on there. So there is the front of it. And now I'm doing the inside of the card. So I cut out some paper from Graphic 45. I think it's the Secret Garden paper pad. So I cut out the paper and I matted it. And I'm adhering it with my ATG gun. And I'm putting it on the inside. Okay, and I also added some stickers, and these stickers I got them in a rack from Natalia, which is Glittering the Sky, and they're really pretty. I got 3 of them, and I put them on the inside, and then I got my Prismacolor pencil, and I drew on the stems and a few leaves, so it wouldn't look like they're just floating on there. So there is my card. There's the front of the card, and you can see I added a rabbit and a little guinea pig on the bottom, and then there's the inside.